fat. We now know we need it. We need cholesterol. Like that's we could talk about that next. But like
I do want to.
those are so many. We just need it, and it's all been debunked. But people still have a hard time realizing it.
Are you going through life blind? This is Eyes Wide Open with Nick Thompson. On this podcast, we share knowledge and stories that build human connection while elevating stigmatized societal issues such as mental health, holistic wellness, culture, free speech, and more. All to ensure we show up in the world with our eyes wide open. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Eyes Wide Open. Our guest today is Dr. Angela Petersen. Dr. Angela is a former Navy officer and a leading doctor of nursing practice. She's a board certified in aesthetic and regenerative medicine. She also specializes in helping people improve their health and quality of life with hormone optimization, peptide therapies, and regenerative aesthetics. She's also the author of a book called The Wellness Glitch. She's the founder of Amplified Health and the co-owner of Lifestyle Men's Clinic. Whew. You've got a lot on your plate. So I'm grateful for you to take the time to come talk to us today. How is your day going so far?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm excited to talk to you for a couple of reasons. One, I have been learning more about longevity and alternative to old school Western medicine or whatever you choose to call it. And I've noticed that the topic is becoming more and more common. So regular people are more open to some of these different types of therapies to really optimize their body, create longevity, and just new ways to be healthy. So we'll get into all that. But before we do, I wanted to ask you a question I ask all my guests at the beginning, which is, what did you want to be when you were a little kid? And how did that change over the years to lead you to where you are now?
That's a great question. Honestly, when I was a kid, I think the first thing I wanted to be was a mom and have a family. So that was always kind of my goal. But what I really realized is that I like helping people. And so that kind of evolved into a career in nursing. And that's how I started out. I went to college to become a registered nurse. I got my BSN from the University of Iowa, and then I decided to join the Navy because that seemed to me like a great way to give back and help people. And one thing led to another, and here I am.
You know, I love that answer. I've actually never had anyone that said first and foremost they wanted to be a parent. So that's kind of cool to hear. I like that. And I also personally think nurses and teachers are like the most undervalued and underpaid people in the world. So it's every like nurse or teacher I've ever met, I think in my life, with the exception of maybe one or two that were my teachers that I thought were kind of mean, it just feels like it just comes from an authentic place of really wanting to help people or teach people. And I always appreciate that. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And so now you are quite the entrepreneur in sort of regenerative medicine. So tell me a little bit about what interested you, or maybe it's your transition from sort of more of the traditional practices to the work that you're doing now.
Yeah, it's kind of been an evolution, but being able to help people kind of reclaim their health in different ways has been really important to me. And, you learn as you go. None of this stuff was taught to me in my advanced training. My advanced training really centered around treating chronic illness, not looking at root cause, just being, treating symptoms. And I did what I had to do to get their credentials because obviously that's important for reputation and being able to prescribe things for people and to be able to get your NPI, which gives me a lot of privilege and access. But what I started realizing very quickly, especially, in school and doing clinicals, like, people are just so sick. And the healthcare in this country is just a joke. And being able to direct people to ways of disease prevention and injury repair. And a lot of the work that I do is with sexual health. And that to me is, I'm really passionate about that because I think it's lacking for a lot of people. They're not prioritizing their intimacy. I counsel a lot of mostly men, but I also do a lot of women as well that, you just die the things that people tell
Sure.
you. And, a lot of my regenerative work is for erectile dysfunction and treating that. But it's a very multifaceted issue, but it happens to about 50% of men over the age of 40. And there's many reasons why, but just listening to my clients' stories, it's kind of depressing
Yeah.
because men, there's so much to it, and I'm learning more and more, and it's not just one thing. There's many aspects to it, but being, dealing with people with these kinds of problems, I mean, it just goes so deep, and people can live with, in a sexless marriage for years and years and years. And, the whole dating scene is so weird now. And we can talk
Ugh.
a lot about that. But it's
It's
just
like a
like
whole episode on its own.
there's definitely a glitch, and getting people, to be, health, putting their health as a first priority is really hard. And a lot of people believe, the traditional medical system is going to save them, and it's just not. It's going to
Yeah.
make them sicker and more dependent. And being able to get out of that loop is really hard for people. So that's kind of where I come in. They go to I have a lot of women that come to me that went to their OBGYN. They're in perimenopause. They don't feel good. Something's wrong. They have no libido. They have no energy. And the things that I've heard people say when they go to see their quote unquote doctor, it's horrifying.
What are
From,
some of those things?
oh, you need marriage counseling. I've heard that. I've
Sure. We all
heard,
do.
that you don't need hormone replacement. Um, there's just such a misconception on hormone replacement, especially for women. And a lot of, traditional doctors or providers just don't want to bother with it because it's annoying. But being able to help somebody, that's having these problems, when they just, a lot of women start to feel like they're going crazy. And that's when they get on an antidepressant, and, they start numbing themselves out because they just don't know what's going on. But really it's just like looking at your hormones, looking at your diet, looking at your weight, really basic things to get you to feel better. And they're just given such terrible answers. And, there's so much research that's been flawed, especially with cancer and cardiovascular risk for women. That's all false. So, just being able to help people understand those misconceptions is a huge hurdle.
Oh my God, I love that you said that. And there's probably like 10 things in there I want to break down and talk about. Because I think, there's so many environmental factors going on with everyone and their health, and Western medicine and doctors. And I believe doctors have good intentions, but there's a system in place, and it sucks. Which you said, the healthcare system in the U.S. sucks, and it is very much, here's a pill for it, here's a
Yep.
medication for it, and they're not getting, to your point, to the root cause. And I've had several functional medicine or integrative doctors on the show to talk about varying aspects of that. But what I think is the most scary to me is how controlled the narrative is on everything,
Yeah.
with pharmaceutical advertisements, which I think should be illegal, like they are in almost every other
Oh,
country.
you can't, I mean, you watching sports these days, it's watching sports and then watching an infomercial for a pharmaceutical company. I mean, it's outrageous. And you don't even know what the drug is. You're just like, well, I should probably be on that. All these people look
Ugh.
really happy. And it's craziness.
I agree. You want to know the first time I noticed that I thought that was weird? So it was a long time ago, probably 10 years ago, and which was around the time I started kind of really waking up to some of this stuff. But there was, I don't know if you remember, was it Abilify? And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, when you're antidepressant, isn't
Isn't
enough.
working.
Add Abilify. And I'm like, sitting there, I'm like, my antidepressant isn't working. It's not, maybe I shouldn't add another one. Maybe I should, like figure something else out. That seemed so weird to me. And that's when I started looking into what like pharmaceutical advertising and learned, I think it's us and New Zealand are the only two countries that allow that kind of pharmaceutical advertising in the world. And I just had a friend here from Europe a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, couldn't believe some of the stuff that is on TV here with advertising that stuff. So
Oh,
it's just,
it's I mean, you don't even know what to say. Like, I mean, for the average person, they don't understand what it is, first of all. And then the marketing and the shiny, happy people, and, can feel so much better, but then here are the 9,000 side effects. Like,
mhm.
I don't get it, but it's working. I mean, people are on this stuff. And, that's the craziest thing is, you go see your doctor and I mean, most men that I talk to in their 40s and 50s are on a high blood pressure medication, a cholesterol medication, metformin, and some sort of, Viagra or Cialis, which is great. But like that's the standard protocol. And you don't even like need half of this stuff if you like actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And an
Do you,
antidepressant too. Everybody's on an antidepressant.
I am, I have done my stints on antidepressants to handle myself. And again, not telling people what to do, obviously, but like the way that they changed the way that I felt was so unnatural to me that also was part of me starting to like question all of this stuff, because I had one that made me like feel suicidal in a way that was like so foreign to me that I'm just glad I had the wherewithal to realize, oh, I had started this medication in the last 2 weeks. Maybe that's it. But it was
Yeah.
just like such a trial and error with those, where my doctor at the time, and God, I loved her. She was a great doctor, but like it was like, try this one, not working in 3 months. We'll try this one, not working. We'll try this one. And there isn't like, it didn't feel like there was science behind it. It's just, there it
No, and
is.
there's not. And the research coming out now, there's no correlation to like a serotonin
I
deficiency.
saw that.
And then I was just reading some studies this week about the permanent sexual dysfunction after coming off of an SSRI or an
Wow.
SRNI. There is like permanent damage. And then trying to get off these, that's what's like the real killer is because people can't. They get
Hmm.
those brain zaps, they're in a fog, incredibly fatigued, their anxiety goes through the roof. So it's just this perpetual cycle. And I don't want to say that people aren't depressed and need help because that's definitely, a
I
real
agree.
thing. But we have to look at it from a different perspective. It's like, the serotonin deficiency, that just is unproven. And we still kind of operate under that model.
I was really shocked actually when when did that, because that, if correct me if I'm wrong, that was like a, was that like a qualitative, or what is that called when you look at a bunch of studies and then none of those studies show it, and then that's like the new study.
A
That's what
qualitative
that
analysis,
is,
yeah.
qualitative
So,
analysis. I couldn't think of the
yeah,
other word. Yeah.
yeah, there's no proof. And, these medications are prescribed like Tic Tacs. And there was an article in the New York Times maybe last week or the week before about these TikTok influencers that are, either being paid probably to talk about like how they're popping antidepressants. And that infuriated me because the
Mm,
influencer culture, first of all, I have a huge problem with, but it's not like I live in Utah and literally everybody is on some sort of antidepressant for multiple reasons, but not, just looking at the influencer culture to encourage people to get on these medications. I just have a huge problem. And I did a Facebook post about this, and some people that I really respected came after me pretty hard.
ugh.
But what I was trying to get at is like, we can't let like the influencer culture tell you that you need to get on Celexa. Like, that's not okay.
That is so true. And that's actually a theme that's come up probably, I would say, in the last year with guests I've had on this show that are in
Mm-hmm.
the medical field, or my episode this week was about light therapy and how influencers will literally sell you light therapy that doesn't work, that isn't strong enough to penetrate to do your skin to do what it's supposed to do. And so it's like not FDA. There's all these things like that. So that recently came up, but I've had that come up about medication, fitness advice, and now with influencer culture and coaches, which, coaching is fine, but you're not an expert in, medical stuff just because you're a coach, right? Or you're an
Oh
influencer.
my gosh, no. And that's the most dangerous thing. I mean, I could talk about this forever. And the other thing that just is like popping up is these nutritional supplements, this Groons. Have you seen this? It is like,
No.
it has saturated my feeds. And I don't know if I'm just like caught in the inner loop, but you know, the there is every influencer is now promote from Bethany Frankel to Jenna
Oh,
Sims to other people that I really like,
yeah.
but they're promoting this. It's like it's a gummy with fruits and vegetables. We
Oh, I
think,
have seen that.
yeah, it's like it's everywhere. And so I had to do like some research, like, okay, who owns this company? What's like because when you look at the funding and who owns what, that gives you a lot
Oh,
of
that
answers.
follow the money gives you everything you need to
Fortunately, it's still
know.
privately owned, but they had, $1 million, influx of money. And I'm sure we can figure out where that came from. But getting people to, this is like the synthetic protein, getting people to like eat fake food, it's such a plan and it's so bad. But like it is like literally this product like blew up in the last week and everyone's talking about it. It's like all of these influencers are in on it. And to me, that is just so frightening.
I think one of the scariest things about the internet, um, there's a lot of scary things, but one of the scariest things is influencer marketing. Because, and I have had the opportunity to make a lot of money making content on Instagram for stuff that I would not use myself. And
Hmm.
I've told this story before of Head and Shoulders, and to each their own with Head and Shoulders. But I don't know. I was on Love Is Blind in
Oh
season
yeah, I
two.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Not everyone knows, which is great because that means people are finding me in other ways, which makes me
That was the
happy.
only
But
season I watched, by the way. That I
it was
watched the
that.
first one and I was like, well, this is a little weird. But
Yeah.
I definitely like, yeah.
So, but after that, there were so many opportunities to make like significant amounts of like $5,000, $10,000 for a post or two. And I literally was like, I can't do it. Like I have integrity. And I'm not saying other people don't per se, but I was watching my peers in the space taking money to promote things that they didn't even know what it was beforehand. And even if it is something that interests you, like if what's it, is it greens? It's like GUR or
It's
GRU.
German for greens. It's Grunes.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on about all that. But like just getting, people, everybody wants a shortcut, right? Like you
Yeah.
want a
Oh
short,
yeah.
like, oh, this is going to get all my nutrients, and they're promoting it to people that are on GLP-1s, which I'm a huge advocate of. But, you know, getting all of your nutrients from this little gummy is just getting
A
us used to eating
gummy.
food. Like that's all it is.
I was going to say that. And you know what? It makes you want gummy bears or gummy worms or some sort of thing, right? And then what are you eating 3 or 4 of them? What's the sugar content? I don't really know, but that is the whole like coordinated efforts and the whole thing with like influencer culture that always kind of bothered me, but then once I had the opportunities became very clear is that people that whether you're on like a reality show, which, I know Bethany a little bit. I think she's a
Hmm.
well-intentioned
I think
person, but
she's great.
everybody's
I
yeah.
think she's kind of one of the OGs. Like she's actually great, but also like she has a lifestyle to, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure to
Exactly.
fund. And yeah, I'm like, oh, this seems like a good product. Why not? But
Yeah, and I think that's what people don't know is they look at these influencers who are or reality stars that become influencers or even people that grow organically and when you grow organically and people see you from your first, couple of posts or whatever about health and wellness or lifestyle or traveling or whatever that might be, then that trust builds, but people don't take a moment to stop and realize when they're promoting a product or at least being paid to promote a product that is very different than that person that you followed that was like, oh, I'm doing a grocery haul to my 500 followers and showing you what I, do to meal
Mhm.
prep for a week, as an example. It's like a very
Right.
different thing. And I don't know that because it's done so well, I don't know that everyone like sees that that's actually like a marketing plan in play. And I'm in marketing, by the way, professionally. So I know what happens when you're launching a marketing campaign. And I just think it's so damaging and it's scary because it moves a lot of product. But I mean, to your point, it's training people to pop a gummy bear to get all of their nutrients for the day. And it's not
Hmm.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy where we're going with all this, but
Yeah.
and like I mean, I didn't know you were in marketing, but advertising has completely changed. I mean,
Mm.
there are besides the pharmaceutical commercials, like commercials are
Those haven't changed.
yeah, but it's kind of changed. Like they're super expensive, and now it's all social media driven.
Yeah. And that's where we spend our time. And this is what I was talking to someone that I mentor about this a few weeks ago, just saying that like the whole thing right now in marketing and it's even in like business to business, which is what I do, is it is very much about you have to be everywhere, but like the TV commercial is not worth the time anymore. That's why people go on podcasts because
Hmm.
it's more authentic. It isn't in your face. Like, when's the last time you saw a billboard and bought anything? Like, I ask people that, and they're like, I couldn't tell you what the billboards are, and I drive to work every day because we're so immune to traditional advertising. But what we have with social media is these, I would argue a lot of time fake connections with people that
Hmm.
make you think that, they're your friend or they're trustworthy or they see themselves in you. That was a big thing for reality TV is like a lot of people didn't like me because when they got to know the real me that wasn't on TV, they would hear stuff about, this kind of stuff or talking about, mental health and wellness or talking about eating healthy or making my own toothpaste. And, I like to talk about news and politics and all of this stuff to me is news and politics. So,
Hmm.
people, they don't really they feel connected to you and they feel connected to these influencers and they feel like they're friends or they have some sort of relationship and that is a marketer's dream. That's really a
Yeah.
marketer's dream because then they can get you to buy anything.
You're in.
Yeah.
It's so like you can just see it happening that like once they hook you and well that goes to a bigger point too, just how disconnected and lonely we are. Like you're looking to these influencers be like, "Oh, that's my friend." Or I know them so
Mm-hmm.
well. They're going, on a trip to Cabo this week or you become involved in their lives and kind of have this disconnect from reality. Like, well, they don't really care about you. You can care about them, but they don't
Yeah.
know you.
Yeah.
But I think when we're so disconnected and the loneliness epidemic, I think is, one of the next things to kind of be uh, evaluated. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. We have these fake relationships with people and, they can do no wrong.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then what it does too and I've seen this with influencers is like they have to kind of assume this personality now. And because they have to assume this personality, like, Bethany Frankel's got to make her money. She's got her lifestyle. And you almost can't even fault people for doing that. But at the same time, it's like it lacks this authenticity,
Yeah, I was just going to
but
say that.
authenticity is what it's portraying. So it's like
Yeah.
a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, influencers, marketing, supplements sucks, and a lot of health stuff. But what I wanna ask you, so I want to talk a little bit about some of your. So you talked a little bit about the men that come in and see you. You also you help people sort of get to the root cause through these varying therapies. what are some of the big things besides ED, or maybe we can even start with ED with men? Like, how do you assess people to understand what's actually going on in them instead of trying to treat a symptom?
I mean, the biggest thing that I do is just talk to them. What's going on? How is this? What's your intimate life like? Are you married? Are you dating? And a lot of the people that I come in contact with are, men in their late 40s and 50s. Most of them are in a relationship and things have just gone south. And, it's part of it is like if you don't use it, you lose it. But they're also just there's so much chronic illness. And a lot of it has to do with just overriding inflammation. So being able to tackle that first is kind of the biggest step. And, inflammation is related to obviously being overweight. But
Mm-hmm.
people that are normal weight can have, inflammatory issues. So that really impacts blood flow. And, just kind of going through their medical history of, what medications that they've been on and trying to untangle all of that. It's a huge mess. But
Yeah.
what I do is I use stem cells for erectile dysfunction. That's regenerative medicine.
Oh, I
And
actually had a stem cell treatment on my hip about a year ago.
okay.
After having someone on my podcast teach me about it, and ironically, I'm getting dinner with him tonight because he's in
Oh,
Chicago, so I'm
cool.
excited
Okay.
about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, please, that was a while ago, so please, yeah, I'm interested. I didn't know about stem cells for ED, so please
Well,
talk us
it's
through
just
that.
about reestablishing blood flow and encouraging, cell repair. But it's not, like I said, it's just not that one thing is not going to fix it.
Right.
And then, just looking at, and one of the things that I've discovered is really important is nitric oxide. And it's actually more of a recent kind of medical discovery, but not having enough nitric oxide will impact blood flow and it will impact cellular activity. So, I look at that. I try to make recommendations,
Is
to
that
improve.
something? Can you explain what that is and how the body's supposed to produce it
So
or
it
use
actually
it?
starts in your mouth. And this is
Mm.
the thing with fluoride and toothpaste is that fluoride denigrates your nitric oxide production. And it really starts in your oral microbiome. So when you're using a toothpaste with fluoride in it, there's fluoride in our water, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. And that's why I recommend to all my clients is get rid of the fluoride in your
Yep.
toothpaste. I'm sure dentists will disagree with me, but it destroys your nitric oxide production. And so when you don't have good nitric oxide production, you don't have good circulation. And when you don't have good circulation, you're going to end up, with other problems. Your body's just not going to function right. Your cells are not getting oxygen. And that creates a whole host of problems, but it really affects erectile dysfunction. And so or erectile function, I should say. So that's why Cialis and Viagra work so well, is because they prevent the breakdown of nitric oxide. So those are actually really good drugs that I prescribe all the time and I think are beneficial for overall health, not just for sexual function. But, when we really look at how your body functions, we're just a bunch of cells. And so if our
Mhm.
cells are not getting what they need, you're not gonna be functioning on all cylinders. And with your mitochondria, and there's lots of things that are going wrong with cellular function that we're really starting to learn about. And this is why peptides are so awesome right now,
Mhm.
because peptides are amino acids and they increase cellular activity. So when you're increasing cellular activity, things just start to work better. And that's part of my whole, package for people. It's okay, we got to do this, 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 and this. And it can become very, very overwhelming. But,
I
being able,
know because I've tried peptides. I actually have the Wolverine protocol right here that I'll be starting up soon. So
I mean, they're great. The problem
yeah.
is they're super expensive. They're not innocuous. They can have, you can have reactions to them. My husband and I both have had kind of some weird reactions, and
Mm.
I'm the one prescribing this. But there's such simple things we can do for cellular activity like nitric oxide, and then the other part that that don't realize is your sodium levels are super important. So most people are obsessed with their blood work. Like, I got to get my blood work done. It's going to, show me all of these things, and it doesn't really. But what it usually shows me in 9 out of 10 people, your sodium is low, your vitamin D is low, and for most men, their testosterone's in the toilet. And then for women, their hormones are obviously not balanced. But the sodium part is such an easy fix. And we've been so programmed to avoid salt.
Yes.
But real mineral salt is actually what activates cellular activity. And salt and water go together, as well as potassium. And so you can't get, water into your cells unless it works with sodium. So that's like the whole hydration thing.
I drink salt water every morning and sometimes later in the day. It's the greatest thing. It's better than coffee. And I love coffee. I drink it every day.
Yeah, it 100% is. Like, your fatigue goes away. It's a better like pre-workout, and it's cheap. Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to be real mineral salt from like an earth source, and it will that will change so many things for people. And, low sodium causes insulin resistance, and, all these people on high blood pressure medications, they're salt depleting, and then the insulin resistance and all the host of problems with that. So, just being able to tackle these little things that you can do in your daily life, like put salt in your water, is pretty amazing.
And you're so right. People are very scared of that. Even my my girlfriend, I told her to try this. She's narcoleptic, and so has a rough time sometimes in the morning. And I was like, I think you should try this. And she definitely saw some of the benefits, and I think it's just so. But I had to convince her, and it's because salt is so demonized.
Yeah.
And how do you know how that happened, or have a theory on how that happened? Because I remember growing up, and it was just like, my grandparents didn't eat it like it was some sort of poison that would kill them.
Well, it was correlated to high blood pressure. And I have this argument with my mother literally every time I talk to her. She's like, well, my blood pressure is high again. I'm like, I think you're fine. But, she avoids salt. And so what happens when she has like processed salt, like, she swells up because her body's trying to like get all of that, salt and water, and, it's trying to hydrate itself a little bit. But that's not the, processed salt, and, there's many different forms of it, but table salt is not the same as like real mineral salt. Table salt is bleached and processed, and it's not the same molecule. But if you use real mineral salt, that is the key to cellular function. And so you need that. But it's the white coat syndrome. It's the scare into blood pressure issues. And we've just been told that over and over again. Like, when you go get go to your doctor for your physical or whatever, it's the white coat syndrome, your blood pressure increases, and you're told to lay off salt, red meat, and, saturated fat. And we all know that now is the biggest lie. So it's all goes.
The low fat lie was one of the biggest. I think it's one of the biggest contributors to our like weight
obesity
epidemic.
crisis.
Obesity crisis. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how old are you? Not to be a two-person.
I'm 40. But, I don't care. I'm 40.
So I'm 48, and I grew up in the low fat, generation. Fake butter, low fat, low sugar, yogurt, milk,
salad dressings. You think you're eating healthy. There's like 30 grams of sugar in it.
I mean, we just didn't know. We're like, oh, well, this is, I guess, better because it's low fat. I guess I can have the whole tub of ice cream, instead of just like a scoop. But, we all grew up in that, and getting out of that paradigm is really, really hard for people. And, the fat, we now know we need it. We need cholesterol like that. We could talk about that next. But like,
I do want to.
Those are so many. We just need it, and it's all been debunked. But people still have a hard time realizing it. I mean, my mom would, is very smart and a great cook, but we used like margarine
Oh,
and
us too.
like,
I
the
can't
seed
believe it's
oils
not
and,
butter.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, earth balance, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's crazy, but we that was our generation, and that's just what was available and what we did. And real butter was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have a heart attack. Like, how could you like have that?
And
But now
butter's
we know, like,
healthy in moderation. It's really good
it's
for
so
you.
good for you. And like grass fed butter, is a great source of vitamin K, and like
I
just the
didn't know that.
lies and the propaganda. It just wow. I'm just
What?
glad we're alive.
I oh yeah. Well, listen, you obviously are of the same thought. I cannot believe how propagandized people get. I mean, I get propagandized on stuff too, and I'm like very aware of it. And I don't listen to, you know, the pharmaceutical advertisements on TV as an example, right? But people like they don't want, and I get it, but like they struggle with having their sense of reality disrupted. And then what I
100%.
find is so frustrating to me is it, you go back to that serotonin and antidepressant story. Like I would tell people that and they would get mad at me. Like I didn't
Hmm.
do the study. I didn't like I'm just reporting the news to you. And you would think something like that in our country when I don't know what the percentage is now, but it's got to be over 50% of people are on an antidepressant.
I
And
don't think it seems like it. It's actually not that high, but
okay.
it's still problematic because
Yeah.
and it could be underreported.
That's
There's
what I was going to get
probably,
at.
yeah. I mean,
Oh, I was
where
going to
I
get at the
live,
story was underreported.
it's 50 to 60% of people where
Yeah.
in my area. But oh yeah, like just getting out of that parent, and I see it in my parents. I'm like, and I love them dearly, but I'm like,
Yeah.
stop. Like, my mom was like, was always on some sort of diet. And like using the spray, like, I can't believe it's not butter. And I'm like,
Oh my
what are you
God.
doing? Like, stop.
Yeah, I know. I mean, mine too. I, one of the hardest things for me to do or to break like those habits of growing up and how we were fed as kids and all of that. And we didn't have, there was a lot of like processed foods. A lot of it was because we didn't have, money or a lot of money to do it. But I just look back sometimes and I was like, wow, I can't believe I sat there and ate Wonder Bread with bologna and cheese and thought I was being healthy. Like it just
Well, we
seems
all did though, but like,
yeah.
things were made a little bit better,
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago. It wasn't so seed oil heavy, but yeah, I mean, we've all done that, the Kool-Aid, I mean, wow, it's just nuts, but now we know better, but I don't think
But
what we're
now it's also oh, sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh
interrupt
no,
you.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say now, and I talked about this in a recent episode that hasn't aired yet with another doctor, but the the thing that sucks is like we know seed oils are bad. We know food dyes are bad. We know that all of this stuff. It's not reported, and now it's political. So if you're on the left, which I used to be on the left as like a hippie with my making my own toothpaste starting in like 2012 because of fluoride, and now I'm like some alt-right psychopath because I think that we shouldn't have food dyes and seed oils and everything. And it's just like crazy to me. So how do you feel about sort of like the politicization of our health and our
Ooh,
food
my favorite
supply?
topics.
Oh,
Um,
let's do it.
oh, geez, you're gonna regret this, but I mean, it's all about
I'll
money.
probably love this the most.
Well, I mean, this is what keeps me up at night, honestly. The
Hmm.
money in these corporations and the money that flows through in and out of our government from big food and big pharma, and I mean, those are probably the same, but the commodities, the farming industry has totally changed.
Hmm.
And I grew up in Minnesota. My family members, lots of extended family are farmers, like really good people, but they like, are getting outpaced, and that's a side topic. But the money in the, seed oil business, you can't even comprehend. And it's in everything. Like absolutely everything
Yeah.
from plastics to cosmetics. our food, obviously, and just the process, what people are eating, you know, what they think is healthy is just processed hydrogenated fats. And
Ugh.
it's destroying people, destroying their health. And in an effort to, make things taste good and to make things, appealing. Like it's a very addictive substance and you can't get out of that. It's hard to get out of that. And, when I tell people avoid, they're like, what is a seed oil? I get this a lot. Like, what is a seed oil? I said, well, it comes from a soybean, corn, safflower, vegetable oil. They look at me like I have three heads. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not good
It's
for you.
underreported. Like, how are these things
Oh,
not covered anywhere except on podcasts?
yeah, because it's the money involved is really outrageous. And it's going to take years and years and years to unravel the poisoning in our food system. And, you look at kids, they basically subsist on a diet of chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese, McDonald's, pizza. That is what, like, most kids are really picky eaters because of this. And the kids that are not, their parents are doing something right. But, it's so hard to not get into that trap because of the taste and, the flavorings. It's a huge problem. And I don't even know where to start with this, but like all of the seed oils, it's what's causing the inflammation. The inflammation is what's causing heart disease. The inflammation is what's causing diabetes. And yeah, and the excess sugar, obviously, in all of these products it's just detrimental to health. And, and it's starting with children really young. And, the obesity in children is getting to an epidemic level. Their activity is pretty much non-existent anymore unless they're outside at recess at school. But I mean, I don't even know where to start in this because it's all government backed. We're being programmed to crave these things, crave fast food, crave, junk basically. And the synthetic protein is the other thing that I have a really hard time with. I have so many friends that are like, oh, this has got protein in it, so it's okay.
Oh,
Like, well, that's just
everything
excess
has protein in it
calories. Like,
now.
what's wrong
Yeah.
with you? Like, you don't need, well, we don't need cereal to begin with, but you also don't need protein in your cereal.
Oh my
And
God. I bought some of that the other day for my sweet tooth.
well, but
But I
like you
know
get
it's
caught in that
bad.
trap. You think, oh, well, this
Yeah.
has got to be better, or the pasta with protein in it. Well,
hmm
what's the protein, people? It's synthetic. It's probably made from insects. Like, and I just saw an article this week
Ugh.
about the heavy metals there in protein powders.
Yes. I saw
I
that too.
mean, like it's just getting out of control. But
And we don't really have like quality control in this country or the regulations in this country either. And that's why there's like more,
well, we
I think
thought
it's,
we did. Like we thought
yeah,
that's what the FDA was for, is to
but
protect
they're
us,
corrupt.
to make sure our food supply is, decent for like human consumption. Well, we know that's not true because they're
Yeah.
just paid off by all of these companies to just keep it going. Like,
Yeah.
we're making money. Like, don't stop this. And that's where the problem is, these government officials and people, especially politicians, are just paid off by all of these companies to just keep the keep the factory open.
Yeah. And this is what like, so I go, this stuff keeps me up at night. It drives me crazy. I get in arguments with people. It's like probably one of the things because you can't unsee it, right? Once you
No,
see it,
you
you can't
can't. Like
unsee it.
once you see it and your eyes are open, you're like, whoa, like what is
Yeah.
going on? I mean, I like the pharmaceutical one, I can think it's just like the easiest to kind of explain. But when you see what's going on, especially with COVID, and I mean, it's it's a
hmm
lot to unravel. But
Yeah.
the damage
Check
that's been
out
done,
this segment brought to you by Pfizer on CNN.
correct.
Like everybody is, I hope everybody's seen those clips by now, but that's that's like in your face, the corruption on the simplest level.
Yep. Yep. And then, you're looking at our leaders that all of these studies are coming out every day that this was a horrible thing. And then, I'm just going to say it, our president, kind of does a 180 on all of this and is like, Pfizer, what a great company. Let's have them to the Oval Office. And I just want to like bang my head against the wall and be like, what? Like, we trusted you to like fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just like in bed with these guys. And we're going to keep promoting these vaccines that A, don't work, B, are causing severe damage, and C, it's just a profit driven machine.
Yeah. And I think with that too, like there's a lot of research coming out on the damage, and it's only been what, 3-4 years since the vaccine. There's a lot of research coming out on the damage of these treatments, and like there's absolute silence. People still, at least it's not a lot of people anymore, but people still go get them. I literally was at the store maybe 2 weeks ago, a grocery store with a pharmacy here. And there was this lady, she was an elderly lady. She was she couldn't walk. So I'm guessing she's at least, handicapped partially. And she was up there and I just heard her as I was like literally shopping for hairspray or something. And she was asking the pharmacist, she's like, do you have the new COVID shot? Yes. Does it still have all the same side effects of the last ones? Yes. Does it work any better for the new variant? And the lady, I forget what the pharmacist said, but she basically gave her a non-answer. Like maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We don't know, kind of thing. And then the lady went and got it. And I'm like, what? I mean, maybe she feels safer getting like, but it doesn't work. You just heard it doesn't work any better. Like it's just
No, it makes you sicker. Like, it makes you more
yeah.
susceptible to being sick.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a hot button issue for me that, and it's so hard to change people's opinion. Like, I'll have patients say, well, I have to go get my COVID shot. I'm like, why? Well, I
You don't want to get a cold.
Like, okay. Like, yeah, it's a cold. Like, that's the other thing. An adenovirus is a cold. Like, this was a cold manufactured in a lab, but it is not like, this is not necessarily going to kill you. It's okay to be a little sick. That's the other thing too. Like, it's okay to get a virus. It's okay to be a little sick. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, take a couple days and like chill. Like, you're gonna be okay. But
it's good for your immune system to get sick. And I'm not saying that some people have issues and they should do everything they can to avoid getting sick. I'm not saying that, but like it's good for healthy people to get sick every now and then.
absolutely,
Right?
it makes you like, more resistant to other, viruses and bacteria. Like, that's how our bodies are built. That's what an immune system is for. But the cardiac damage by these vaccines, I mean,
It's
I'm
alarming
sure
and no one's talking about it.
that are young, healthy, that just like drop dead for no reason.
It's crazy.
And everyone's like, oh, well, they had a family history of, heart disease and stroke. Like, well, did they? I mean, they're like only 35. Like, that should not be a normal.
And the myocarditis too.
And it's a real thing.
I mean, yeah. And there's people in my life that are my age or around my age, give or take, and they're having like health issues that one, they've never had any sign of before. And then two, it's like, that's actually like something you shouldn't get till you're like 60. Like it's very strange and we don't know anything about it or ever.
Like, we don't know we don't know what we don't know. But for like a vaccine to have come on the market so quickly and so mass produced and so like widespread, inoculation was, I mean, I couldn't believe it. And as a nurse, like most of my career, ironically, has been giving vaccines. And I like, this haunts me like literally every day because I started off as a labor and delivery nurse and, we were jabbing babies minutes old with hepatitis shots and it was not questioned at all, And, parents would sign the consent and some parents wouldn't do it. We'd be like, oh, they're one of them, you know?
Yeah.
But now we're like, they're like, actually, they were so smart and doing the best for their children. And we just followed, you know, I just did what I was
You
told with the
you trusted the CDC,
100%.
which is what you're supposed to be able to trust them. It's what you're supposed, it's
Yeah, like these are the recommendations. Well, if you know about hepatitis, like it's a sexually transmitted disease or, you know,
yep.
intravenous drug use. So if like your mother is in a monogamous relationship and has never used IV drugs, the chances of passing like on to the baby are pretty minimal or literally
Yep.
non-existent. But we would just do it all the time. And then when I was in the Navy, I ran a vaccine clinic for the Marines getting ready to deploy, and I can't even tell you what I'd be like, they're like, what is this? I'm like, I don't really know. Like, the orders say you got to take this if you want to deploy. And they're like, all right.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it was nuts. And I mean, they would get like 6, 7 shots at a time, and we wouldn't
Oh.
blink. We'd be like, here you go. And
And why is that bad, if you don't mind me asking? Because I mean, I think I know why it's bad, but I don't think people think about it. Our friend Travis Kelsey a couple of years ago was doing the get your COVID shot and your flu shot at the same time. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't think that's good for the immune system to
no, it's not.
overload it like
It's
that.
overloaded. Yeah, it overloads your immune system. Your body can't respond appropriately, and then you kind of get this like your body, it just goes haywire. And, you know, we do it to children all the time. They're getting, 4 or 5 inoculations, at a single visit. And, there's a lot of mixed emotion on a lot of this, but we just don't know what we don't know. And we're starting to figure out like some of this was just really bad advice, but some of it came from a place of goodness too. Like polio, it was a devastating illness, and measles can be very devastating. And so some of the intention was to prevent disease, but now with, kind of the advancements in medicine, a lot of these illnesses can be easily treated, and we're still doing the same thing, but it's causing more harm than good. And that's as someone in the medical field, like our vow that we take, do no harm.
Yeah.
And when we're causing harm to other humans, that's when we have to kind of take a step back and reevaluate. And I've talked about this before too, is the scientific method actually works. And the scientific method starts with hypothesis, and that's asking a question. Well, the question is, are we doing more harm than good? And using appropriate research tools to really get at the right answer. Like, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And do we need to reevaluate? That's what the process should be. And we're not doing that because of money. And we're hurting people. And that's like the root of the problem.
What really bothers me, and I think COVID really, so I've been skeptical of vaccines for 15 years, 12, 13 years maybe. And it was so taboo. Like, I just never talked about it with anyone because it was just, that was like the one thing you can question anything else for the most part, but you can't question that. And I think when COVID happened, and I remember I listened to a podcast early on with, what's his name? I think it was Dr. Robert Malone.
Oh, I
And
love him.
yeah, and he was explaining why we'll never be able to vaccinate out of COVID because of the way that the virus behaves. And actually, maybe it wasn't him. It might have been. It's 5 years. I can't remember exactly
He's
who
a
it was,
good
but
one
I've
though.
listened to
He
him.
was one
I
of
know
the
him too.
first. Yeah, he was one of the
Yeah,
first to be like, hold on a second here. Like, what are we doing?
yeah. But the profit incentive is there, and what's so weird to me is like I see a lot of people questioning COVID and questioning more of this stuff here in this category. But then what's crazy is there's still some people that just don't even want to talk about it or even acknowledge that like maybe this is wrong. Maybe there's a better way to do this stuff or treat COVID or whatever, or treat, maybe not give people, what is it, 72 vaccines before they're 5 or whatever that number is now. There's like better ways to do it. And to your point about science, COVID became this trust the science. The whole point of science is you don't trust it ever. You always try to make it better.
Always question. Always question.
Yeah. And then God forbid you do your own research, which is what I always say is like reading. Like I researched history to write a paper. Like it's like it just was so crazy how all of that happened. And
Well,
I,
and
I
then it
just can't
became
wrap
the
my head around
political
it.
divide, right? Like if you're
Yes.
questioning the science, well, you're a wacko.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it was hard to talk to people about it because you got shut down and you could not rationalize with someone that was so programmed. And it
Mm-hmm.
was it was hard for me, it was hard for my husband. We were like, what is going on? And like we kind of played along with it at first and been like, all right, we're just gonna like kind of lay low here. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
can't lay low for very long or keep my mouth
Me
shut.
neither.
And
Me
I was like,
neither. We should start a podcast together.
hey, I'm all in. But it's like in the mask thing too. I mean, you live in Chicago. A lot of my family's in Chicago. I had to get the vaccine. This bothers me, and my husband will probably never forgive me. But we were going to Chicago for a wedding in like
Mm-hmm.
2021, and I had to get one inoculation because I was a student at a very liberal university in Salt Lake, and I was forced to get it. My option was
Jesus.
either get tested every day or get the shot. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sticking that thing up my nose every day because I know that's going
Mm-hmm.
to cause cancer. And
Oh,
fine, this
really?
is, oh yeah, for sure. Um,
I did that.
but
I got tested every time I had to go to the office.
well, and you were in like show business, like that's what they
Mm.
did. And
Oh, well, I can tell you a story about that, but finish your thought.
so, no, I'm just personal story, but
Yeah.
so we were going to Chicago and like my husband and I traveled a ton during COVID. It was actually like super fun. But we had to go visit my family for this wedding. And I I'm like, well, you're not going to get into any restaurants. Like, you're not going to get into any bars unless you have a vaccine card. And we were like crafty enough to get a fake one, but still like a little like worried that we'd get in
Oh,
trouble for
yeah.
that. So, I
Same.
made him go get it. I'm like, well, we have to go out when we get there. And he was like so mad at me. But, we got the stupid card and, went on our merry way and we're fine. But, we just kind of had to play into the system to be able to like participate in society. And that was super frustrating. But, it's like, that's what just like drove me over the moon. It's like this stupid
Yeah.
card became now like our way to get into sporting events on an airplane,
And
to travel.
when did a freaking security person at an airport, when did they get the opportunity to see your medical records? That was
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm showing a 18-year-old hostess my vaccine card so I can eat at a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, and that's when I was like, we should just have the fake one because they're too stupid to figure it out if it's
Oh.
real or not, because it's just writing on a piece of paper.
Oh, and you could here's a picture of it on my phone. Like,
I mean,
it's
it was
crazy what
so
happened.
nuts. It was just so nuts. But it was a huge test of compliance too, and we all know that
Mm-hmm.
now. But yeah, I mean, the lessons learned from this human experiment, we're still kind of unraveling. But
Yeah.
I put my conspiracy hat on sometimes, and it was a test of compliance, and it was a
I
kind
agree.
of,
Mass
people comply.
formation psychosis.
Hmm.
Mass formation psychosis. They got everybody so anxious, riled up,
And
and then we're
scared,
just
just scared,
and
like
scared.
scared to death that you're going to die, or if you don't do this, you're going to kill your grandma, or you're going to kill your neighbor with an autoimmune disease. Like that
Yep.
that fear-based, propaganda works really well.
A winter of death. Remember that one? We're gonna have
Oh,
a dark winter of death. Okay.
yeah. It was some dark
It's
times.
Yeah,
We're
it
still
was.
not
And
out of it, but
I was gonna say I'd like to say we're out of it, but I think that this is something that is gonna take a long time for us to have. And I would just encourage people, like, I don't judge anyone who was scared or who took the vaccine for whatever the reasons were. I don't fault anyone
You can't,
for doing
right?
that. Yeah, you can. I hold no grudges against anybody except the people that did this to us. And I think the best possible outcome would be that we just learn to not let it happen again, because it already
Yeah.
happened. And I hope we learned enough to not let it happen again. But I do have concerns that
Oh,
we
I
have
have
not learned
concerns
that
too,
lesson.
big time.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
But the control, the mind control is what was, I think, the most interesting that, happened. And then just the division, it was us versus them, or, the anti-vaxxers against everybody else, the, people that didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to wear a mask. It just became this huge divide. And, we're still kind of in that divide. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of problems, like with our, government society, is it's like, it's this or it's that. Well, we
Yep.
can actually be in the middle.
Everybody has nuance. This is what I talk about anytime this comes up. Like, everybody has nuance to them. And I think that the way our media represents everything now is it's two sides and that's it. And it leaves out the nuance that makes every individual human, from like a mental capacity, a physical capacity, a health capacity. It's just crazy. I I th- I don't want to get into any more conspiracies. I'm using air quotes for those
It's
listening,
not
but
conspiracies when it's true.
yeah. Well, yeah. And it's funny because like my first ever quote conspiracy was in fourth grade when I was trying to figure out what to write a history paper about. And I decided to write about the JFK assassination
Oh, cool.
because
Yeah.
I was flipping through a book on our bookshelf in our classroom in fifth grade, or fourth or fifth grade. I think it was fourth. And I saw a picture of LBJ getting sworn in. And I was naive. I thought the president and vice president were like best friends. And so I saw this picture of Lyndon Johnson. I was like, he doesn't seem sad that his best friend died. And that's where little conspiracy Nick was born, in that moment, where now I question everything. I don't
Yep.
take anything at face value. So I
Well,
hope
that's a
more
sign
people
of
can.
real intelligence, because, and it's just asking the questions like, that
Yeah.
doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
And when you ask the right questions, you can get to the bottom of things.
Yeah, exactly. I could talk about this forever with you, but I would like to spend a few minutes at least talking about your book coming out, The Wellness Glitch. It's out on Kindle. It's coming on paperback and hardcover soon. You told me beforehand.
Yep.
Can you tell us about this book, who it's for, and what people can expect about it?
Absolutely. So it's been kind of a passion project of mine, but it's really a book looking at the glitches in our system and why our health is where we're at with our health, where we're at, kind of in the matrix of the insurance, big hospital systems. I talk a lot about the obesity epidemic and how we got to where we're at right now. And looking at things from like a historical perspective is a lot of the focus too. It's like, well, we did this and we've got, this is the result, and so that's the glitch, is
Mm-hmm.
fixing the issue, fixing seed oils, fixing the propaganda that we've been fed about a lot of things. And it's very easily digestible, and I geared it towards people that just may not be as knowledgeable and
Mm.
are kind of wondering, they may have this bird on their shoulder that's telling them, hey, this doesn't seem right. And people that start asking the right questions are looking for answers. And that's what, that's kind of how it came about. And I get into a lot of things about, the loneliness epidemic, our, disconnection, the technology that's consuming our lives. I get into a lot about intimacy and kind of where we're at with that. I have like some theories in there that I've proposed about, birth control, and, a lot about hormones. And the
Mm.
study in 2002 that came out, it was called the Women's Health Initiative. That's what scared most women into not getting hormones. And then the result of that is, the glitch now is that most, a lot of women that did not do hormone replacement therapy have dementia or Alzheimer's. And, the amount of people in, young, like 60, 65-ish, which is young, are just, their
Not
memories are
even
gone.
retired.
I know.
Ugh.
It's, but the amount of women that are now suffering from dementia that could have been prevented is sickening to me. And, I'm just not the type of person that could sit by and let any of these things kind of happen. So I wanted to put a lot of this into, into writing to be able to get the message across that, there are glitches in our government, there's glitches in our healthcare, there's glitches in our own personal beliefs. And if we don't kind of readjust course and kind of ask the right questions about like, why is this happening? It's just going to get worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put this together, I don't want to say it's more for, average Joe just starting to kind of look at their health, their place in their community, their families, how our society is functioning right now, and being able to make little changes, little changes every day to make this world and yourself a better place. And I think that's where it really starts is, you can't be a productive member of society if you feel like crap. And
Yeah.
there's we have so much information coming at us, like the influencer culture. Well, like take this supplement, do this, have this red light therapy. I mean, it's exhausting. And there's memes about it too. It's like, well, I got to do all of these things just to feel normal. Well, no, you don't. But, you can start with the small changes to make yourself feel better. And that was really my intention and my goal. And I talk a lot about GLP-1s, which I am actually a huge advocate of, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But what the GLP-1s are doing is they're really waking up a consciousness that has been so hidden with sugar and, are so
Low
hidden with our
fat,
bad food.
carbs. Yeah.
But when you get rid of all of that and you get into an insulin, equilibrium, your mind starts to work a little bit differently. And a lot of people talk to me about this. It's like, wow, I'm like having like clearer thoughts. I'm more productive. I'm more creative. The veil of this is lifting for a lot of people. And I kind of attribute to it to, the GLP-1 use. I don't want to promote big pharma. I'm actually promoting like small compounding pharmacies because I think they do a very ethical job. But getting people off of prescription medications is paramount. And using these, it's a peptide, it's not necessarily a medication, has changed lives for people. And I love like hearing these stories, and I love helping people with this because I've had my own personal success. But being able to, help someone that's just really feels terrible, feel good again, and to make better, and then you can make better choices. Like, when you feel better and you like how you look and you like how you feel in your clothes and you have more confidence, you make better choices. And so all of this combined, is kind of like fixing the glitch. So that's really what it's all about. So I think it's great. I'd love for you to read it, but there's more to come.
I'm 100% going to get it. When it's out on paperback, I will be there first in line.
Send you a copy. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that I think what's really clear for me from our conversation today is, one, I think we should start a podcast on quote conspiracy theories. Just kidding.
I'm all in.
Yeah. From the moment you stepped on and said you wanted to help people from an early age, to the book, to the work that you're doing with your clients and your patients, it's very clear that it's coming from an authentic place of wanting to help people and make the world a better place. And I appreciate people like that, because it's very hard to be not necessarily successful, but like it's very hard to kind of keep your integrity and come on here and talk about some of the things we've talked about. So I'm grateful for that. Authentic people are the best people, and you're clearly that. And the work you're doing, I think, is going to help a lot of people, and then your advocacy for it as well. So thank you for that.
No problem. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Before we wrap up here, is there anything you want to ask me that we haven't already talked about?
What was Love is Blind like? I'm dying to know.
Oh my! I mean, it was like it's hard to even describe it, and I've talked about it so much, but it was the whole process. It to me now, it doesn't even seem real. Speaking of glitches, like it doesn't seem real because I look back on it, I'm like, it's like the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life. It's also like one of the most traumatic things I've ever experienced in my life, and it was also one of the most um, I mean, even at times exciting things, but it was also the biggest, first and foremost, it was like the biggest test that I've ever faced in my life was life during filming and then after filming and then after the show coming out. And that's the book I've been trying to write for 3 years is like, what was life like before for me? How did I get there? What was it like on, um, you know, because you film a show and then you hide a marriage for a year, almost a year before it comes out, and then
Oh,
overnight,
really?
oh yeah, yeah. So we filmed in like April, May, and June of 21, and then it came out in February of 22, and it you can't people don't know who you are, but like you can't post on Instagram or anything that you do has to be like a story because people are going to track it down. Like once the cast was announced, people went through our Venmo transactions to try and figure out who was paired with who based on who was Venmoing who and what the comment was with the Venmo. And it was like, what the hell is going on? Like people are
Oh,
crazy over these
wow. Yeah.
shows. Yeah, so it's very much that's the book I'm trying to write is like life before, life during, and life after. And they're very distinct experiences in each of those.
Yeah.
And I feel like my approach, like the Head and Shoulders thing, right, where it was like, oh, I had to turn down 20 grand, or the opportunities that did come that didn't align with me, but like being pressured by everyone to just do it, including my own publicists at the time, and all of that stuff. And the challenge of like being, and this is why I appreciate authentic people, especially on tough subjects. The challenge of staying true to yourself, and I'm similar to you. Like when someone is wrong or something is wrong, I raise my hand and I say, this isn't right. And I'll take the bullets. And I do a lot of activist work around better working conditions for reality TV now. And because it was hard and there's no money, there's not a lot of money in it unless you sell your soul. So um, the whole experience, like I could go on. And if I ever finish my book, I'll send you a copy too. But it to me, it was like, it didn't seem real at first. I never thought I would get cast because of the reasons I have the show, the stuff that we talk about on here. Like I'm not a very dramatic person. I'd rather sit and have a conversation with you here than talk about who's dating who. And then I say I sleepwalked and I was there filming. And then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I'm fine if I get married. I'm fine if I go home. We'll see what happens. And, thinking I just didn't belong and that I wasn't the right person for reality TV. And so it was a very unique situation. And then, you're married in 7 weeks, you were filmed for 7 weeks, and then you're married to this person that you don't have much experience with living outside of the confines of the manufactured show.
Right.
And that's not a diss on our relationship. I believe we were definitely in love, but there's it's different the next day when no one's telling you where to go eat or telling you what to talk about or telling you where to stay or telling you where to go. And so it's a very unique experience. And I look back on it now and sometimes it just doesn't feel like it really happened. It's just so bizarre. It's like the most bizarre experience. And then it happened during COVID. So it's just this like weird,
Even weirder. Yeah.
yeah, it's like this weird glitch, no pun intended, in the Matrix for me. But yeah, it was. I will never say I regret it. It caused me a lot of hardship and tough times, but I'm stronger for it. And to be completely honest, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but they tried to tell me that if I didn't get the vaccine, I couldn't film the follow-up episodes because I was one of maybe 3 or 4 people that weren't vaccinated at the time that we filmed, but it wasn't any mandates. And then it became mandated. And I said no. And they said, well, we're going to have to film After the Altar, which is the 3-episode follow-up a year later, without you. And I said, okay. And that was the last time it was brought up. So I filmed it. Yeah, I filmed it. So yeah. So that was that was, I'm proud of myself for that, because when you're in your 15 minutes, there's not an opportunity that you don't want to take, because I will never ever have the chance again to go to the Chicago Bulls and play the game on court at halftime. I'll never ever get a chance to go to Wrigley Field and sing the 7th inning stretch and have everybody go crazy for you. Like, it's those things right there. Like, you cannot, and I think this is what people get trapped with too, is like chasing that high. But like, those experiences are things that you just don't dream of, or being able to bat on Wrigley Field. I mean, that's once in a lifetime for a handful of people, kind of thing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So the experiences that I got after that I really put at risk by not saying or agreeing to get that jab. But yeah, so yeah, and I kept my integrity the whole time, and I haven't changed, anything for money or for fame or anything like that. And so net positive, I say I got to grow a lot. I'm resilient and can handle anything that the world has to throw at me now. And I feel good about that.
Well, that's cool. I mean, things happen for reasons, and you are where you are right now, and I think you're doing good work.
Well, thank you. So where can people, if they want to connect with you, find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs. I'm really active on X or Twitter, and oh, I love it. It's great. But I'm also on Instagram. My personal is Amplified 1209, and then my business one is Amplified Total Wellness, and then Facebook is just Angela Miller Peterson. But you can text me. I'm happy to share that information, and DM me. I don't have any blocks on any of my accounts. I'm here to offer advice. I'm here to help. And it's just if you have questions, and that's kind of the space I want to be in, is more of an educator and kind of opening people's eyes to things they can change in their life to, feel better and be a better human.
I love that. Well, thank you again. This is one of my favorites that I've done in a long time.
Oh, thanks.
So,
well, I love this. This is great. Yeah. Well, anytime. I mean, it's great. I think you're really smart, and keep doing your thing. And I saw your post today on Instagram. I thought that was like really cool. So things are going to get a little weird.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. So at least I can do is, drop off some food at the food bank thing that is in the neighborhood. So
no, I think that should be encouraged, because it's going to get bad. I have a feeling.
I do too. All we've got is each other. It's all we got.
What we got.
These politicians are not coming to save us.
Nope, they are not.
Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.
I will. You too. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Eyes Wide Open. If you enjoy the show, the best way to support us is by sharing or dropping a review. For more information and content, check out engagewithnick.com or find me on Instagram at nthompson513. Don't go through life blind. Do the work so you can show up in the world with your eyes wide open.